Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Football Fundits. We are here today for the game week 9 roundup, and it's good to be back. So, in case you missed this phenomenal weekend, just to tell all of you, a quick recap is on its way. Tottenham Hotspur top the Barclays Premier League table. It's not the Barclays Premier League table. It is only the Premier League table.
I think you woke up. I think you woke up in 2010. But okay.
Looks like Tottenham Hotspur. I think that was the last time they had a serious title challenge. But but Tottenham Hotspur topped the table with 20 points. Liverpool with the same number of points, same number of games, but a slightly lower goal difference at number 2. Chelsea, Leicester make up the remaining 2 places in 3rd and 4th. Premier League strugglers, and we're going to talk about that in detail. City, Arsenal, and Man United nowhere in sight. United just about in the top 10. And we'll also touch upon the relegation, which looks more and more likely, like last season's surprise performers, Sheffield United, are surely going to go in for the drop. So, Annie, I'm going to start off straight with title contenders, right? Because it's so refreshing to see Tottenham Hotspur in that top 4 genuinely challenging this year. Because I know it's still not even a quarter of the league, but man, that win against City, dude, there was no VAR involved. Technically, there was VAR involved in it with that handball
incident. But it was.
But Tottenham didn't have any of the ball, and like Jose Mourinho said, City can take the ball home for all I care. But at the end of the day, I'm happy with the 3 points that I got to take home. What did you make of that?
Firstly, if I'm a Spurs fan sitting somewhere, yeah, sure. I'll always want Jesus to start against me because that's 3 of Jesus' goals ruled out by VAR in the last 5 games that he started for City against them. Yeah. I mean, that's some kind of juju right there that they need to like really get rid of. That's Pep over there. Honestly, we discussed this in our Spurs preview with India Spurs, right, in an episode. But this was it was a beginning of the serious challenge for Spurs with the fixtures turning very hard on them. Kane and Son have been great, and my God, the romance and all of that romance shit that we've been hearing about. But when the game came, they turned up, and City just didn't. And City haven't been turning up. And like Mourinho said, and like you said, they will be very happy with the 3 points. Mourinho couldn't care if they only got 2 shots at goal. They got both those goals, and they had 5% possession. Mourinho could give 2 shits about that, right? That's the kind of guy he is. And that's something, if you, like you said, genuinely Spurs are looking that threat now because City and Liverpool were the tougher of these fixtures. If they do slip up against the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea, that will be surprising. Yes, Chelsea will come to later, but Arsenal are all over the place, right? You're looking at this Spurs side and that Arsenal side are looking at a big win for Spurs. So this was a big speed breaker they had to get over, and they did. And now you look at the Europa, if they do qualify in the next game, they get to rest players there. They're keeping players fresh for the big run-in. Yeah. Exciting time for Spurs fans. Not so much for the chasing pack. Not so much for United. Not so much for City. Definitely not at all if you're an Arsenal fan.
So, 4 wins in the last 5 for Tottenham Hotspur keeps them at number 1. Speaking of 4 wins from the last 5, it's interesting. The other 2 teams on 2nd and 3rd have won 3 out of their last 5 in Liverpool and Chelsea. Annie, I'll talk a little bit about Liverpool now. And it's so apparent and it's so obvious that they're missing Virgil van Dijk. And I'll tell you why. They have scored just the same number of goals as Tottenham Hotspur. Both teams have scored 21 goals. Both have played 9. Both have won 6. Both have drawn 2. Both have lost 1. But the difference is in the goals conceded. Liverpool have conceded 16 goals, whereas Tottenham Hotspur have conceded only 9. How much is this side really missing Virgil van Dijk? You can actually see it. You can see it in the stats. You can see it in the numbers. But having said that, Annie, let's now talk about Liverpool, where you've got a side that's you've got the Premier League champions, the reigning champions. Even before a ball was kicked prior to the start of the season, they were down to favourites to retaining the title, right? They still are, in my opinion, the favourites for retaining this title despite the injuries, because look at the signings they've made and look at the way the rest of the squad is now starting to step up. We all said that Liverpool would struggle. We all said that Liverpool will have a terrible run of results now, especially given that they were playing Leicester, who are an informed team. But they just came out there and destroyed Leicester. It's like they didn't even miss Salah. It's like Diogo Jota just stepped up and said, you know what, I'm going to make sure that the cop remember my name. And if Salah were to go next season, so what? I'm here to replace him.
I think Brendan Rodgers firstly has some agreement with Liverpool very happily, no matter which club he's like managing against them, will just donate points because They were looking the same kind of confidence that they had last year before, on the Boxing Day fixture, where they just tore Leicester City apart, and then Leicester were never the same. I'm looking at this fixture. I'm looking at the kind of team that Leicester came in with. Leicester came in with players getting fit. Liverpool came in with players getting injured and missing out. And there was no logic to how Leicester set up in this game. They had the same set of players available. They could have set up the same way, the way they have been playing out against teams against Arsenal. Okay, you can say that. This is where I'll come to the Liverpool side of it now. See, not only have Liverpool won the Premier League last year, they won the Champions League the year before that. They were Champions League finalists the year before that. They were Europa finalists as well. They've progressed in the right way since Klopp has taken over. That tells you that he's instilled a philosophy over 5 years. So what happens with a philosophy like that is, like you saw with the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson, any player can be given that kind of confidence to play anywhere. There's the reason why Michael Carrick at United used to play in that position. And unfortunately, we keep going back to United because that's some of our expertise there. So you look at Milner. Now, Milner is very experienced, vastly experienced, and has played left back for them. But for Milner to come and play right back against the kind of Leicester attack that you saw, crazy performance, 2 assists in there, right?
Mental.
And then you look at the likes of Fabinho. Well, Fabinho is not the least experienced player to play in centre back, if you're being honest. He has played there before. So they kind of...
And he's a top quality player, At the end of the day, I think if you've got the quality, and, you spoke about Carrick, I'm going to talk about Eric Dyer as well. He's not a natural centre-back, but he's doing a phenomenal job at Tottenham Hotspur. I think it's about the quality, right? And I think it's also about the system that you put in place. What I like about this Tottenham and Liverpool side is it's the kind of systems that Klopp and Mourinho have put in, where even if you were to play a makeshift centre-back, you've got the cover in the defensive midfielders in front of you. And I think that's what's working.
100%.
I think that's what's...
Because the only inexperienced player in that, technically you could say in that Liverpool lineup, was Curtis Jones. And he didn't seem to be lacking experience the way he... Because look at who he had next to him, right? He had a Wijnaldum still playing. Wijnaldum is a great player. So if I look at it this way, I feel that maybe us fans or Fundits and Pundits kind of over-thought the whole Liverpool situation, where once Robertson was fit, Matip is a good centre-back. He's just been very unfit, right? It's like It's just like if you had to look at Chelsea's defense, right? Thiago Silva is a great centre back. When he starts for them, they look so solid, right? So it comes about who's fit for them, and I feel that when it came to the game, they just were like, "Yeah, cool. You can write what you want." Jota's just going to walk into this team at 42 million, which looks like a bargain now. If you talk about the likes of, Son now being a bargain for Spurs, and you're looking at the likes of how people have. Arsenal spent 75 million on Pepe, and we'll come to that later. What is Jota at 42 million? It's a joke. He just came into this team and told Leicester a new one. Leicester, by the way, could have conceded way more. They were all over the place, but give credit to Liverpool, man. Anyone who's coming in here, thanks to Klopp's philosophy, can just come in. Yeah, you know what? You can do it. The player's like, yeah, Klopp, thank you, I can do it. And they just go out there and do it.
Absolutely. 3 seconds of silence for Virgil van Dijk's earth-shattering recovery, because of which the global economy is down. Thank you for that. Okay. Just banter, guys. All right. Let's talk about Chelsea. Annie, now what people are, again, Chelsea at number 3, having a hell of a season. Everyone said that they were going to have a good season. Fantastic transfer market. Lampard back. Here's something interesting, Annie. The team that scored the most number of goals this season already is Chelsea with 22. They've scored a goal more than Tottenham and Liverpool. Right? They've scored 22 goals. A bit unfortunate in that 3-3 draw against Southampton. I say this because they would have hoped that they would have been favourites going into that game, given that it was at Stamford Bridge, home team. And then, again, unfortunate to draw against United. I think they were the better team against Man United in that goalless draw. So despite these 2 sort of bumps on the road, they've won their last 3 now, convincingly. 3 goals against Burnley, 4 goals against Sheffield, and 2 goals on the weekend against Newcastle United. What I'm liking about this Chelsea team, Annie, is they are starting to now look very, very clinical. You know what I mean by clinical? A bit like what Liverpool have demonstrated these last 2 years. Doesn't matter what the fixture is. Doesn't matter who the opposition is, at least outside of the top 6. It doesn't matter. We'll get the 3 points done, whether it's home, whether it's away. Chelsea playing away, Newcastle, a team that's been a bit up and down. It's the kind of team they were playing against who, if Newcastle had beaten Chelsea 2-1, we wouldn't be that surprised. They're having that kind of a season. But Chelsea went in there, did the job, very clinical, and it's not an over-reliance on a few key players. unlike Man United, who we'll talk about. You had Tammy Abraham on the goal sheet, and it's so good to see him, getting back into his goal scoring form, because he's another talent that I absolutely rate. And like I said, got him there, travelled, did the job, 3 points in the bag, come back home, top scorers in the league, and also arguably in the top three to win the title this year. Don't you think?
Still no. For me, they're not in the top three to win the title. And I know it comes from that. I don't rate Frank Lampard the same way as a lot of other people rate Frank Lampard. Now, that's not a bias against him. When the season was, before we started the season, right? And I had to tell you like a player or a manager who looked more convincing. And that's based on what we saw in the last 6 months after restart. Arteta looked the most convincing manager, looking at how he beat the teams in the FA Cup. Now they started the season and Aubameyang has gone missing and everything's happened. Arteta looks clueless. So now the manager does deserve to be pressed and his brain picked, right? The same way it happens to Ole all the time. The same way Pep should be getting pressed, but he doesn't for whatever reason. Lampard, okay, to give him some benefit of the doubt, you got in 6 new players. Havertz, Ziyech, Werner, Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell. That's a lot of new pieces in a big puzzle. They will take time to gel. The fact that they were all injured at different times with Pulisic coming in and out really messes up the balance, right? So kudos to him, like you said. Unlucky in the Southampton game, maybe. But that's the way I see it. It's something I'll throw back to what Kern said. Chelsea still actually have a problem in that defense, and they will. When the season keeps coming along and the games come thick and fast, right? And if they do end up losing one more defender to injury, we're going to see them concede these goals. So the attack will probably have to pick up a lot of the pressure to keep outscoring them. Can they? I don't think so, but let's not go there.
I don't know. I mean, if I have to interrupt you, I'm really sorry, but I will, because if you look at numbers, right, Chelsea have the second tightest, the second meanest defense in the Premier League outside of Tottenham Hotspur. The difference being that they've conceded 10, Tottenham have conceded 9. I'm just going to put one comment here, which is Chelsea's defense, according to me, they've been so good that Cesar Azpilicueta doesn't get a game. So I don't maybe fully agree with the criticism on their defense, where in fact I would say they're sort of, I would throw in a bit of mixed fortunes. I think they were very unlucky to not win against United. I thought,
I'm telling you, that is
give if that VAR call against United, if that penalty was given, Chelsea would be sitting pretty 2 points right now on the top. So I think it's still bad fortune over tactical or player or, I still think Chelsea have been not lucky enough.
For me, the way I see the West Brom game and the way I see the Southampton game for Chelsea, right? It comes down to this is all one of those seasons. The smaller teams are fitter, they're playing lesser games, they are going to have the reserve in the tank to come back at you and take those games, right? West Brom game, they went 3-0 down, they came back, character there for sure. They could have won that game as well. Southampton game is where I'm saying when the season wears on, and if I had to back a defense, okay, and this is where it will get controversial, but I'm going to put my foot on it. If I had to back a defense to keep consistently giving me clean sheets, I would still, and looking at how shambolic the defense is right now, I would still back United's defense over Chelsea's defense over the long run of the season to get those clean sheets when they really matter. Because for me, Zuma is getting those goals right now, great. Thiago's experience in that side, great. But that fall down to how he doesn't trust Rudiger, doesn't trust Christensen. Azpilicueta is not in the squad. He can come in for James. But they're thin there. Alonso is lost out of favor with him. Emerson is just in the loop. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? They are one step away from being United defense, and United defense is being so badly rated. That's where I see it.
They've got 3 out of 5 clean sheets, the last 5, and even that one game against Sheffield where they absolutely destroyed them, a bit unlucky to concede. I mean, they won 4-1 in that game. I see your point. I think what you're trying to say is that Chelsea apparently look good, but the cracks are going to appear very soon.
Yeah, because you said, are they genuine title contenders? Are they genuine top 4 contenders? Yes, 100%. May they put me wrong there where I thought they'll miss out. They look like they're going to be at it. But title contenders is where I see that the kind of defense they have, it would be great achievement by Lampard, and then I would be proved wrong that he gets anywhere near the top, he's at the top spot somewhere in March.
Fair enough. I also like Chelsea's bench, man, which is why I'm going on and on about them. Because if you look at one of their top players from last season, great squad. Jorginho doesn't get a minute in the last 3 or 4 games for Chelsea. Now these are players who, I remember last season, Jorginho's penalty style and his playmaking was linked to Bruno Fernandes at his peak. Now if these players are not, Azpilicueta not getting 90 minutes, not getting a game for Chelsea, I think there's something there. But fair. Let's move on now. Speaking of title contenders, let's talk about title strugglers and title strugglers and strugglers. Title strugglers in Man City and Pep. And let's talk about strugglers in Arsenal and Man United, although United fans will tell us that United are above both of them. Let's start with Manchester United because they are 10th in the league right now. Absolutely bewildering. I mean, the Old Trafford form, there is no argument for it. I'd like to believe as a United fan that is the power of Old Trafford. That is the power of the United fan and the Stretford end and all of that. But help me with this. I just don't know what's happening. Here we are, a team that looks good. Look, I have no criticism for Oli. I think tactics are good. He's setting up the team well. I like the formations. I like the style of play. I'm blaming a lot of these on individual lapses. That West Brom game, 1-0. Yes, very lucky to get 2 penalties. Very lucky to get away with that game. West Brom should have had a goal in that. But if you actually look at the chances and the kind of chances created, we should have taken that game 4-0. So individual lapses, individuals not stepping up, namely in the likes of Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial. I think that's hurting this team a lot. What do you make?
100%. I think if you had to bring it down to 2 words as to what's happening at United right now, not clinical. When you look at Spurs versus City, Son one chance, puts it to the keeper's leg.
Goal.
Look at Diego Jota. First cross in from Robertson, headed down.
Goal.
He's got the height advantage, everything else, but he's not got the advantage there, but he's got that goal in. When you look at Chelsea, Werner is not clinical right now. He's fluffing his lines a bit. But the others have picked up the slack, right? Like you have a Ziyech in there. Right now what's happening is it's all the Bruno Express, right? And in the Bruno Express, since he's come here, yes, towards the end of last season, the other forward line picked up, the youngest forward line, they got their stats in. But they started slow. So when they started slow, again, the pressure's gone back to Bruno. Yes, the whole debate about the lineup, I'll come into that just in a bit. I know Marcus Rashford is great, and I've been criticizing him on a few WhatsApp groups also as well. When I think he's not critical, and when he's not clinical, he's not clinical. I'm sorry, but that's what it is, right? I can't feel like, oh my God, because he's going to come and win that one game for me in the 90th minute. He's wasted 5 good chances because every game, he's not going to get that chance in the 90th minute to get that goal. That game is a draw. That game won't be a West Brom game where you luckily get a 1-0 away, right? It's a draw. So when I look at Martial and Rashford in this game, and you saw them, they had 2 chances, like 1 each, which they should have buried. Any good opinion, okay, they're young players, give them time, but look, now they're United. They've been senior players for 3 or 4 years each. You need to bury those chances. Right. And once you don't bury those chances, pressure comes out to midfield. Bruno tries more. Bruno loses the ball more pressure on the CDMs to defend more pressure on the centre backs. Our wing backs stop attacking. They sit back. They're like, okay, it's 1-0. What do we do? And that's where it all starts going downhill.
All right for them.
For me, the problem starts in the front. As much as you criticize Lindelof and Maguire individually, you said Maguire is Lindelof is shit. He's had bad games. Maguire has had bad games. But collectively, that shaky pair.
We should be scoring a lot more is the general feeling from Man United fans. That 13 goals in 8 games, not the kind of returns that we're used to seeing as United fans. We should be having at least double of that. Speaking of players letting down the manager, and speaking of disappointing performances, Arsenal fans will have a different take on this, and we'll talk about Arsenal now, right? Because in their last 5 games, to be fair to Arsenal sit on 12th, 9 matches played, only 4 wins, 1 draw, 4 defeats. But an Arsenal fan will tell you that, look, in the last 5 games, we've had to play City, United, and Leicester, and arguably a Leeds United who've been absolutely unpredictable this year, right? In these last 5 games, they played a City where they lost 1-0. They played Leicester, where they also lost, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they lost 1-0 to Leicester. They lost 1-0 to City. And they beat Man United 1-0. And then ever since that United defeat, ever since that United victory, Arsenal then shockingly went and lost to Aston Villa 3-0. Absolutely ragged by Aston Villa in that game. And a surprising draw. Now, I say surprising because when you play Leeds, Arsenal, I expected them to take the 3 points. But then the way the match panned out, I think Arsenal were very, very, very lucky to come away with a point. They looked completely torn to shreds by this Leeds side. Leeds were just toying with them throughout.
So terrible.
And we'll talk about the Fundits' picks of the week, where we'll also cover gaffe of the week. And there's a special Arsenal player reserved in that for me. But very schizophrenic by Arsenal. What is Arsenal Football Club this year? Last season, it was one thing. Arsenal Football Club is Aubameyang Football Club, in AFC. This year, Aubameyang isn't firing, but they're still going and, springing out a few results here and there. And then they're going and losing to Villa. They're drawing. What is Arsenal? Where are the frailties? What is going on with this side? Break it down for us.
I'm going to record this "What is Arsenal" question for you, and in the midweek when we do another segment,
Aubameyang FC
with Nirvan, we'll let Nirvan answer this for 15 minutes unfiltered. Let's see what he has to say. You actually rightly did. It's good that you mentioned it. Their fixture list wasn't good. Leeds are on 11 points from 9 games played as well. But you look at what's above them. Leeds are really up for the battle. They are not let. But when you are going 3-1 down against a Palace, you would assume that Leeds would sit back, be as clever. He's mad. He is El Loco. He doesn't give a shit. He's going to throw everything at you as much as he can. Bamford gets so many chances. By the law of averages, he's going to get those goals this year. Look at the way they're creating, right? How they've hit the woodwork 3 times. Leno was also possessed. Leno did a great job. But Arsenal was so... If a team was luckier than United to get away with that draw and not get that penalty, I think Arsenal would take the cake. They were so lucky to get away with the draw there. Forget a draw. They were lucky not to be beaten 5-0, 5-6-0 again.
Bamford should have had a hat-trick in that game, if you ask me.
And an easy one, right? But that's with Bamford. That's more of an FPL segment talk later on. But yes, so look, you come back to the fixtures. Yes, they've had bad fixtures. They beat United. So United fans would argue, which is entertaining, argue that, look, United knew the game was going to be tough for them. They sat up. They could have easily gone away with a 0-0 like Chelsea. Job done for them technically. Pogba was clumsy and stuff like that. But they got the point there. I tell you what the thing with Arsenal is, and it's something you see with Arsenal under Emery as well. They tend to show up for this bigger game sometimes. They set up the right way. When you look at the kinds of Villas and the Leeds, and they know they can come to Arsenal and take something from them. Because they don't take sides like Villa seriously enough. And I think that's a problem now with the players in the club or with the setup, that the way we play football, we will easily outpass these teams. We will easily outscore these teams. That's not happening anymore. Which is why Arteta knew this. Arteta set up a new... Look, before Arteta or before they went down to 10 men, he was almost 8 in the back, 7 in the back. He knew he couldn't keep up with Leeds. So that tells you that
almost willing to take the draw.
He had already accepted a long time that second half that, we'll take the draw, and if at best, Oba will go through and get a goal. So that tells you that he kind of knows that even the United result was a lucky result, even though they had a few good chances, right? They are there for the best in the world, so you can expect him to make those saves.
I wouldn't say lucky, I'd say one-off. There's a difference in the two words. It's a one-off result, yeah.
So what he's doing is he's like, look, you guys are not firing up front. I'm going to make sure till you fucking don't fire. I'm going to make sure we don't concede. Yes, in those kind of games, you get lucky, like you hit the woodwork 3 times. You build on your luck and you start from the back. They've had a good defense also, to be fair. If you look at the likes of Bellerin, look at the likes of Holding. Holding is not the most experienced player for them. He's been there long enough, but injury prone. He's done a good job when Luis is missing.
They've only conceded 10 this season, which is in the top 3 or top 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Gales out of nowhere came in, looked solid. Mm-hmm. So they have positives over there building up, which with a better fixture run, you could see them doing well. The way I see is, if I compare, when we come to City now, why you look at City still being a top title side, and why you look at United and Arsenal still being a side that will struggle to make it top 4, even though they are in the similar situation right now, is because that the mentality within the players right now, United is still a little down. There's so much scrutiny on Ole. It's not even fair. It's just so unfair, right? Look at the way Pep is shitting. Look at the way Arteta is. Look at the pressure Arteta and Pep have, and look at the amount of crap Ole has been given, right? Mm-hmm. Then, they're trying to dampen the mood. Ole is trying to keep things positive. Arteta, same way. Look at the squad strength, right? They have injuries right now. Partey is missing again. When you look at City, players are coming back fit. Are they clinical right now? No, they're not. But they're all proven winners with a winning mentality. So if you had to bet a winning horse, would you bet on United? Would you bet on Arteta? Would you bet on Pep and City? I know right now you look at Pep and call him a fraud, and he deserves criticism. But what do you think about Pep? I don't want to hear you about Pep.
Let's talk about Man City. Look, Annie, I love the way they still play. Even if you look at that game against Tottenham, it's not like Tottenham ran ragged. Yes, tactically they were superior, but I tweeted this after the game, right? Pep needs 2 centre forwards now. He needs them right now. The problem with this Man City side is they don't have finishers. They just don't have finishers. When I say finishers, I'm talking about the Sergio Agueros. If you put Aguero in that side, a prime fit Aguero, they're not losing so many games. They're not. I'm sorry, but they're not. If you look at the last 5 games, they beat Arsenal 1-0 just about. They drew to West Ham. They lost to Sheffield. They beat Sheffield away. Sorry, they beat Sheffield away in a 1-0. Drew to Liverpool. One would argue decent game, decent result, and then they lost to City. Similar argument can be made by City fans here as well, right? Look at their opposition in the last 5. They've played Arsenal, they've played Tottenham, and they've played Liverpool. So that's one argument there. Second argument, they've done most of these games without a proper out-and-out finisher centre forward, right?
Yeah.
Number 9. Gabriel Jesus, terrific talent, not a number 9. Not a number 9. He's if anything, he's like he's a false 9, if anything else, because he's Brazilian, trickery,
I don't think Jesus, when he came to City and he had a good start, got injured. The Jesus we saw before that, I know he was the younger Jesus.
Never been the same.
He's never been the same. There's been just something missing about him, which is fair. Sometimes some of these injuries are actually very serious, no matter how young you are when you get them. You don't get over them. But your Man City, look at that wealth of talent. Look at the players you have.
I'm going to say one thing. Man City have a greater defense budget than 50% of the countries in the world today. Which is what I'm saying, Annie. I don't think defense has also been an issue for City. They've just conceded 2 goals more than Tottenham, 1 goal more than Chelsea. They've only conceded 11 so far.
That's what I'm saying.
The problem is the goals have dried up. Who would have thought Man City would only score 10 goals in the first 8 games. This is a side that is so used to. Let's talk about the last 3 seasons, 4 seasons under Pep. City are the kind of team that wins 6-0, 5-0, 6-0. They are that kind of a team. They have scored 10 goals in 8 games, Annie. 8 games, 10 goals. That is not Man City, which is why you asked me, what is the problem with Pep? The problem with Pep is he doesn't have firepower, unfortunately.
So I'm looking at the way this is. This is Pep's worst start as I think a managerial career that he's ever had with the side.
Yep.
That goal difference is -1, just like United's. I don't know what Arsenal's goal difference is. I'm pretty sure it's nothing impressive to talk about. What is Arsenal's goal difference? -1. There we go. I'm looking
City
at
are also
why,
I'm
looking at that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at why a lot of fans out there they call him fraud. Okay, oh my God, he spent so much money. He's a manager. If you don't take the money away, what they're saying is if Pep had shitty players, that's what Arteta looks like at Arsenal right now. I mean, I get the criticism as to why he's getting it, but I want to draw it back to what you are saying as to why we are having a discussion where we are still saying that City deserves to be talking with the terms of a title contenders to still be one of those. And United and Arsenal, although they're in the same position, may not be. Because when you expect these sides to line up against each other, and yes, last season they lost United 3 times, and they dropped points in the big games against Spurs last season as well. You would back KDB to come get that winning mentality. You would back Sterling to start showing up and getting those goals. You would back Aguero to come back. So people are looking actually back on precedent. Could it be this season that you could actually see City faltering beyond belief under Pep, where Pep could be sacked or he leaves? Nothing is impossible. It's a crazy season with injuries and everything else, right? I'm just saying that, look, like you mentioned, the fixtures were really tough on them as well. Maybe now, with the fixtures slightly turning in their favor, they are playing Burnley. They are playing Burnley, Fulham, United. But then West Brom, Southampton, Newcastle, Everton. So now, if let's say till Boxing Day,
I think now is his testing period. His testing period almost, and Aguero is back. He's inching closer to fitness right now. So
now is where, if let's say another 3 weeks time they don't get a win in or they get draws, then I'll be like, okay, you know what? I'm calling BS on City. That's just not good. You have enough wealth of firepower there already in Ferran Torres, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden. You don't even start. Rodri holding. Oh my God, I can't go on. But yeah, we'll give them 1 or 2 more weeks before we start really poking and holes and pulling that side apart.
No, very true. And just to end the City debate, I think Pep himself gave us the answer, right? He said, Sergio is 32, 5 months injured, difficult and dangerous injury. He came back, played 55 minutes, and in the 55th minute got injured again. So I think he knows more than anyone that he needs his Sergio Aguero back. And just maybe a marker for City fans, but I think they'll be busy in this January transfer market. I think and that's for another episode, I'm sure. But I think City will pick up a top striker in the January transfer market. That wraps up our second segment, which is the strugglers or the pretenders for the title FC. Now I'm going to give you a quick note on relegation, Annie, and then we're going to wrap up with the Fundits' pick of the week. Just to give all of you all a quick update on what's happening in the relegation, Sheffield United, the surprise packages of last season, phenomenal end, Chris Wilder, all of that. I think 9 games, 0 wins, one draw, 8 defeats, 1 point of their first 9 games. Surely favourites to get the drop. West Brom and Fulham sit above them. West Brom too haven't won a game yet this season. They've got 3 draws, but they haven't won a game. And Fulham sitting on just a point more than West Brom with 1 win in 9 games. Burnley last night got a surprising win, I must say, because they beat Crystal Palace 1-0. But otherwise, they were also in a lot of hot water. They were also without a win in their first 7 games. They finally got that. Which brings us, Annie, to Fundits' picks of the week. We'll start with Player of the Week. If you don't mind, I'll go first. For me, the Player of the Week is Diogo Jota. Congratulations to Jota, set a new record for scoring 4 goals in 4 matches on his Premier League debut, first 4 home games for Liverpool. Who makes your Player of the Week?
So yeah, for me also, it is a toss-up between Spurs and Liverpool. I was also looking at Jota, but if I had to say, looking at the criticism and the injuries and all the talk before the game, Robertson or Milner for me are tied. They've come into Milner coming into the side, the way he picked up the experience, came in, calmed it
down. Make the pick.
I'm going to go with Robertson. I think it was so pivotal to keep the side going with the experience and the fullbacks, the way they play.
Fair enough. Let's move on to Manager of the Week. I'm going to go for an incredible pick here, which is Jose Mourinho. I think, to tactically outclass Pep Guardiola and the whole narrative under which he's been Tottenham manager, take them top of the table without Bale even starting that game. Oof, what a guy, what a week. Jose Mourinho.
No addition to that, Jose, for me as well. Easy. Just got Pep done, completely all ends out.
Absolutely. Team of the week, Annie, and I'm a bit torn here, so I'll let you go first. I'm torn between Tottenham and Liverpool, but I'll let you go first.
It's exactly the same for me. But for me, again, only because of the way Liverpool were being so slated in the press about, oh my God, look at that, no Salah, injuries, the centre-backs mess, no right-back. And then you have, yes, they had the experienced players we never saw coming into the side, but they got the job done and more than convincing enough to maintain a record and to keep a record, right? So Liverpool for me, just by that much.
This is tricky. You know what? Just because you said Liverpool, I'm going to be the bad boy and I'm going to say Tottenham Hotspur only because I think this is for the first time in many, I might be wrong here, but in many matches or many seasons, they're actually topping the table. So I think Tottenham Hotspur deserve for me to be at least the team of this week. Liverpool a close shout in there because like we discussed earlier in this episode, everyone wrote them off. But I think just for being top of the table on goal difference, Tottenham Hotspur for me, which brings us to our last one, which is gaffe of the week. For me, Annie, no-brainer. In a game that looked certain to be a Leeds win, or in a game that Arsenal looked set to sort of lose, this player made sure that Arsenal really had to fight it out for that draw, and it's Nicolas Pepe. Mindless red card. Absolutely mindless. He reminded me of that. We've all grown up playing football in the building and with friends. He's that kid who's got talent, who's really good, but doesn't have a temperament, does he? He has a temper and he's a bit spoiled. Thoda sa, if you mark him, step on his shoes and all, he throws a bit of a fit. Nicolas Pepe for me. What about you?
For me, it was a tie between a VAR decision and Evans' own goal. I think I'll lead towards Evans' own goal only because the sheer way in which he was so clueless back against goal and the way he did that. And, that set up Liverpool to just come and destroy them completely after that, right? If they needed any more confidence, which you don't give to Liverpool side, Evans just gave that to them, and I'm sure Leicester and Brendan weren't appreciative of that at all.
Fair enough. So Johnny Evans for Annie. All right, guys, thank you for watching this game week 9 roundup of the Premier League. On behalf of the Football Fundits, my name is Abhishek Iyer. That's your resident Fundit, Animesh Thakkar. Do subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. Hit that subscribe button. Do it right now. Right now. Just hit it. Hit the bell icon as well. So every time we throw out a video, you get a notification. Do follow us. We're at Football Fundits on Twitter and Instagram. And until next time, we'll see you very, very soon.
See you guys.
Superb.